So we have Anay Kamat with us today. He is himself a professional. He works for IT company. He's director mobile with Kojo Technologies, and he's the backbone of the entire curriculum that has been prepared for standard 6 and 7. Okay. So he's there with us to help us out with the lessons that we need to prepare for this year, for the 7th standard. Okay. I think today we will have Kojo. Over to you.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm a slight cough, so in case something is not clearly audible, just let me know, okay? So we are going to start with Kojo. My job here today is make it as easy as possible. I'll try my best, can't promise. Okay, but anyways, your feedback matters, okay? Try to take the video off screen as much as possible. Okay, so what do you see on the screen? Scratch, okay. So a common belief is when we are dealing with Kojo, right, it's actually moving forward from scratch. The real situation is actually not moving forward from scratch, but if you remember the flow in 6th standard, it's scratch followed by gym. So Kojo is actually a follow-up after gym, right? It's not follow-up after scratch, and you will see why in some time. But all those concepts keep adding up, right? Another thing, that the flow of execution, right, the entire curriculum sort of goes like this. In the 6th standard, it is scratch, gym, all that stuff, right? So essentially, you are dealing with mouse. 6th onwards, mouse just disappears. There's no mouse anymore, right? Everything happens with keyboard. And primary reason being, apart from desktop computers, right? Do you see mouse coming anywhere? No, there is no mouse on your mobile phones. There is no mouse on the tablet. Right? It's all keyboard. And keyboard is the basic device, basic input device for any computer. So when you are talking about a computer, it's not the mouse. It's the keyboard, which is the input. Right? So that is what, as a subject, we are going to deal with. Start the recording again. Right? So keep that in mind. Okay, so that is going to be really, really important while dealing with everything that happens later. We are going to start with some UI component, but going forward, everything ends up becoming about commands and typing. Right? So there is gym. You will see whatever that you could do with gym. How can you do that with some code that you can type? Whatever you can do with Blender, in the 7th standard there is Blender. Right? How you can do that again by typing. Whatever you can do with Photoshop, how you can do that with typing. So the idea is you should not have, there should not be any situation where you can say, well, you know what, I can't do that logo because I don't have Photoshop. That's a limiting factor. So many people just pass out and say, I can't do that logo because I don't have that version of Photoshop. I can't do that kind of typesetting for a particular week because I don't know CorelDRAW. Or even if you know CorelDRAW, it is not that version of CorelDRAW. And even if you have that version of CorelDRAW, it is not having that license of CorelDRAW. Right? And so on and so on. So, again, all of those becomes limiting factors. So the curriculum stretches on making sure that all those dependencies are taken over. As long as you have a computer with you, you should be able to do everything that a computer can do. To simplify things, whether you want to use some user interface and everything is up to the choice. But nobody should say, I can't do that because that software is not there. Make sense? Everyone? Okay? So what do you see here? What do we see on the screen? Okay. So picture blocks also looks pretty similar, right? What is this called? Okay, so these are all the concepts which are there in Scratch, right? Few things to note. How is the quadrants meant? X and Y, correct? So it is two-dimensional. There are two values for every point, right? X and Y. Okay, going forward from Kojo, it becomes three-dimensional. After Kojo, when Kojo is two-dimensional, after Kojo, everything will end up becoming three-dimensional. So, where is the X? Okay, where is Y? Okay, is that universal about computer? Who thinks? Okay, fine. X is horizontal, Y is vertical. That is correct. Where is positive X? Okay, Where is positive y?
Up.
Okay. Is that universal? Are you sure? Why? Because the math textbook says so. Okay, why does math textbook say so? Why has to be always up? Not like that. Okay. It's just a convention. So basic idea is before using any system, know where the quadrants are. It's like when you are using a map, right? There is always an arrow which says north here. And that is just a convention, that is why it is shown. Sometimes you may always draw the map that way, but you need to show that north is this side. So figure out where the north is, and figure out where the positive y is, and figure out where the positive x is. Correct? If it comes to 3 dimension, you need to figure out where is the positive z. As soon as you know where is positive values, negative is always opposite, equal opposite. Okay? That's what it means. So, in Scratch, positive y is up, positive x is right. Where is the center?
0.
Correct, but where is 0? It is middle of the screen. Again, is that a convention? It's not. In Kojo, 0, is center of the screen. In Scratch, 0, is center of the screen. That did not be the case everywhere. Right? So when we were setting the clean slate, and we were saying move to 0, why was there? Because the moment you do it and run it, you know where the center is. That was the whole idea behind doing it. Right? So when we used to do this, right, let's say if we go and say in sensing, then the events, right, whatever heads. Yeah. When the green flag is clicked, and if we say go to 0, is this visible? Is this better?
Yes.
So we know 0, is always here. That's how we know it. So clean slate is like trying to say, okay, I want to know where the 0, on the screen is. This proves it. Right? Then there are other things. How is the angles mapped in Scratch? The angles are always 0 to 360 if you are measuring in degrees. Okay, there are other ways also to measure. But where is 0 degree? Up. When you are drawing it on geometry paper, where is 0 degree? Right. 0 is right. Correct. So that is true. If you see here in the directions, it shows you 0 is up because they have modeled it over a clock. So you start from 12 o'clock, right? So and go all the way in a clockwise direction. So they have said 0, and then it goes all the way to 360. That's why 90 is towards the right. But again, this is a convention. So to establish this, which that point is, we say point in direction 90. So no matter what I say here, at the start of the program, I know that angle is 90. It's just a convention. You figure out what that point is. So you know how your quadrants are mapped. From that point, it doesn't matter whether it's 0 or what. From that point, if you want to go towards right, increase the x value positively. If you want to go towards left, decrease the x value. Decrease means negative, right? If you want to go up, increase the y value. If you want to go down, decrease the y value. Again, this depends on the system. This is not universal. So do not buy heart this. Again, don't make your kids buy heart, because if they do, they'll come back and complain in the 8th standard. Okay? So, at the end of it, this is just a convention, and then we know we need to enable the pen extension and erase, right, and all that stuff. But one of the core idea here was, we have those palettes here, which we need to drag and drop. All of that is fine. So if I need to give this code to you, how will I copy paste and give it to you? Can I copy paste this and send it to you? Send this code to me over a WhatsApp. Save the file, but you need to send me the whole file. I don't want your file, I want it copy paste. Okay, let me give you an example, right? Let's say if I open another Scratch window, I just need some part of that code to be used there. What will I do? Just that part. And then copy it there? Try. Give it a try. Make sense? This problem exists everywhere. So if you are trying to make a ID card, you are trying to use a Photoshop, you will do it for one person. How will you do it for 1,000 people?
Duplicate the same text.
How will you tell Photoshop to do this for all the people 1,000 times? Can you do that? How will you tell Photoshop to do it? Can you do that in Photoshop? Right? So this is where you reach the limiting factor. They are fine to do one good thing. The moment you need to do more of those things, right? They are nothing better than a typewriter. You just need to do all those things again and again and again. So that's the whole point, right? So what if you could just type this like any text? Can we do that? Can we do the same thing? So let's move beyond and let's see what. Everybody has Kojo open? The first time, right? Okay. So let me remove this part. And the whole idea, right, is to type out your comments. But this is where many of us get it wrong. Because we type it as if we are typing on a typewriter. What is to happen in a typewriter? You type, then you reach towards the end of it, then you need to hold the lever, move it down. Right? So what we generally do is we type, we press enter. Right? And then we'll either use a mouse click or tap to align things. And that is where a lot of things go wrong. Secondly, we tend to type everything. Why do we need to tend to type? Then how is it different from a typewriter, right? Typewriters were not smart. Computers are supposed to be smart. That is the whole problem. The other scare generally is you can't see what all commands are available. But you can actually, if you say control space, you can see all the commands that are available. Can you try? No? Control space. Doesn't work? Click on the palette here, where you have to type and say control space. Okay. So those are all the options that are available to you. And as you can see, right, there are lots. Try not to go around this part. You see those red things, right? Try to stay here on the upside. Okay? So you see many things like there is set background, set costume, there is repeat until, repeat for, right? Left, move to, all those stuff, right? You don't really need to drag towards all the point. But essentially you now need to say what we need to do. Okay, so let us, if you want to move certain steps, right? Let's say forward. Okay? So I'll say for, I'll not type the whole thing. And do not try and type the whole thing, okay? You need to get used to it. Take some time, but try and get used to the practice. Okay? For, or I'll say either for F4 and press control space. And it will give me the command. And press enter. And then it says number of steps. Do not press enter, just type the value. So let's say 100. And then press enter again. Everyone noticed what I just did? F4, or if you say FOR, command space, directly gives you forward. Press enter, right? Do not press the enter, it is already highlighting it. If you press enter again, the number of steps will remain as is. Then you will again need to go and click over there. So it's doing the work for you. Say 100, press enter. Control anyways moves towards right. Okay. And if you try to run it, you will see the turtle moving.
How to run?
There is a play button. Or you can press Control Enter. That is a shortcut for it. Okay. Now if you press Control Enter again or run again, it goes up. And you can keep doing like this.
Press control.
Yeah. Or run. Control Enter is shortcut for run. Okay, how do I get the turtle back? I'll change this to minus and maybe it will come back after some time. Yeah, it's coming back. It's pressing that whole line. Okay, so we saw positive movements, right? Which direction is it facing, by the way? It's not facing 0. Let us try, right? Let us try that part. So if you need to change its direction to a given point, right? Like we say set point the sprite to. So we need to say heading. So this is called as a heading. Okay, so you need to say set heading. Set H. Did I type the whole thing? Do not try to type the whole thing. Right? There are two reasons for it. Because first, one reason, you will burden up your mind. And oh, so much of things to remember. Second reason, you will always type it wrong. Okay? And then you will say it is giving an error. So try and use the system as much as possible. It is helping you in order to make things correct. Okay? So now, if I say 0 and say Control Enter, which direction is it facing? It's facing right. It's facing right. So the direction which it was facing was 90. And why is that so? Because if you go here and say show protractor, you see that the 0 degrees is here, 90 is straight up. So it's like a real protractor. Yeah. So you just right click and say show protractor. Alright? You can have show axis also. So you can see which is the positive axis, which is the negative x, which is the positive y and which is the negative y. You can have a grid. If you need to see all individual points here, you can say show grid. Correct. You can have show scale if you want. That gives you a ruler. Yes, so in case you want to measure something, right, from this point to this point, how many points are there? So if I try and measure from this point to this point, it is 50. So the difference of the value rate is 50. Right? So show scale. The other part, right, is look at the lower left corner of the whole screen. Wherever you are moving the mouse, right, it will show you those points. Lower left. Can everyone see it? See it. Good enough? So given this information, what all can we do? Let me see clear everything, right? Now we did all of that by right clicking, right, on the screen. So that was like using a mouse. So let's not do that. Let's do it via code. So how can we do that? So you can say show axis, sh, control space. It says show axis, right? Show axis. You can see it auto completes over there. Enter. And if I run this, control enter, it gives you the axis. Similarly, generally what I tend to do, right, is I'll press control space first only. So you say control space, and as you type, right, it's going to auto-complete things for you below. So show grid, right, here. Second option, show grid, it shows the grid. Comfortable? Working for all? No compilation errors this time? Okay. Do not try to type the whole thing. Suddenly there is G capital, right? Or A capital. Or those brackets. I'll take this off for now because it just clutters the screen a bit. Let's make the turtle move forward. Okay. So forward, 100, control enter, right? It moves up. Oh, by the way, it didn't clear the screen for me. Right? So if you need to clear everything, you will need to say clear. Right. Now it clears it. And if you see, clear is not just like erase. It's not same as erase. Clear, then one single command here is your entire clean slate. Because it will always move the sprite in the center position, even without you saying it. And that is because if you do clear, see, clears the total canvas and brings the turtle to the center of the canvas. Right? Right, so we have clear and we have forward. Now let's make it turn. This is the movement, right? How do we make it turn? Set heading is 1, but then you give it by angle. Or the other way is, you can either say right or left.
Right, left.
Correct. So right. Forget the angle for now. I'll press backspace and press enter. Okay? And control enter. So it turned. And if I repeat the whole thing 4 times, it draws me a square.
How you repeat that, sir?
Copy paste. Good old copy paste. Couldn't do that in Scratch, right? Has everyone got this?
Just
Good enough? Difficult? Okay. So that is right here, right? And similarly, we can have a left going along. So what will happen if I run the same thing again, but this time copy every right to left? Lot of the instructions that I just mentioned, right? And if you see, they are there in the output pane. To use code completion, press Control space or Control Alt space. To interactively manipulate the program output, Control click. To access the context sections, right click. To pan or zoom, drag the left mouse button or roll the mouse wheel. Again, give that a try. So you can zoom in. Right?
You can zoom the script area also.
Okay.
Script area also you can zoom.
Yeah, you need to press Control Shift plus on your keyboard. Control Shift plus. And if you do minus, it will come back. Yes, ma'am? Comment. You can. So let us say I want to type here, right? What this is about. So I'll say, take a look at this. Okay? Draw the right square. Okay. But if you try to run this, right, it is going to fail. Try running this. It's going to give you an error there. The way to convert this into command is keep your cursor on the same line and press Control slash. Sorry. Control slash should work for all the Windows machines. If you are on Mac, try command slash. Control slash for all the Windows machines, Windows and Linux machines, and command slash for Mac systems. It will automatically comment things out. You can also comment out a lot of multiple lines together. So you can just select them and give the command, and it will comment out the whole. Just Mac, right? So you need to try command slash. Okay, give that time to yourself to practice it with the editor. Okay? Shortcuts, autocompletes. Okay? That is the way to get it right. Otherwise, it will become frustrating. Do not make it a notepad. This is not a notepad. Okay? Good enough? If you probably noticed, right? Let me just remove this and run the whole thing again, okay? Everyone till this point? Okay. These two commands here, right? They are rotating, they are repeating. How many times are they repeating? So what I will do, we'll ask him to repeat. Okay? So, control space REPE. It is going to autocomplete, okay? So you can see it's giving me repeat option. So there is repeat, repeat for, repeat until, repeat while. So repeat. How many times? 4 times. Press enter. It will automatically get the keyboard cursor right where I need it. Okay, so it's here. And I cut it. How do I cut it? I select it. Control X. Right. See, it directly gives my cursor where it is supposed to be, okay? And then press the keys. Or, let me do this again, okay? What people tend to do, right, is the code was like this, right? Let's say I copy paste it, correct? Then I tend to place it here and it goes in a very weird way. What many people tend to do is they'll either keep the cursor here and do space. Okay? And then a lot of things go wrong. Okay? So if you ever land in a situation like this, do not do more. Just say, sorry. What was the option of the shortcut? I forgot the shortcut. Format source. So just select everything and right click and say format source. It will automatically do it.
So repeat which one?
So select everything.
Repeat which one? So repeat.
Repeat.
Let repeat.
Okay. You try and execute it. It will do it 4 times. So what are the important steps? Use of autocomplete, right? Copy paste, and do not use manual indentation. Try and use the indentation provided. That will be helpful. So let us do the same pattern that we did some time ago, okay? I will repeat this, put it here, and instead of now right, I will say left. So now we have these 2 pieces of code right here. What if we repeat this whole thing twice? Everything, all this code, we repeat it twice. What will happen? Let's give it a try, right? This comment is no longer valid. Let me say repeat. How many times? Twice, right? And I will copy paste this. Paste it inside. See, the moment you paste and paste it inside another block, right? It disturbs the indentations. Correct? So what we'll do? Select everything, right click and say format source. Clean code. Okay. And if I now try and run this, it's going to obviously draw that pattern for me. But here is a slight point. Try this, then we will do some small changes. Everyone got till this point? So what we'll do, right? See, there is repeat 2. Inside there are 2 repeats, right? After the end of the second repeat, right? What I want to do is I want to get the turtle here, not here, here. How can I get him there? We'll do pen up and all. First it needs to move up. So that's forward. By how much? 100. Then it's right, correct? Facing this side. Right. Again. Forward, right? And then so forward, right, forward, it's facing this direction to make it face up, left. Okay. And now if I try and run this, what am I going to get?
Is repeating single loop.
Single loop. So if I increase this, let's say 4. And we'll keep on doing the pattern. Right? So unlike what is to happen in Scratch, here it can actually cross the border. what I'll do, right? Everyone got till this part? Okay. What I would do is, for now, right, I'll just say this repeat one. So it will happen just once. So I want to show you something. Take a note, okay? If it is like really tracing that path, right, and establishing a color over it, you can say that it first marks it as yellow. Right? So what is to happen is to go like this, complete this part, then come like this, complete this part, then it's to again trace that whole path. We don't want that to happen, right? We just want it to like hop. Instead of like really walking and dragging the pencil along, we just want it to hop. So instead of forward, you can simply say here, towards the end, right? You can simply say hop. So I'll replace those two forwards to hop. And then you can see what happens. Now if you see, it wasn't changing the color. It wasn't changing the color. It was moving but not changing the color. Everyone found it a bit slow. It's like, it takes a lot of time to draw. We can make it fast by asking him to give a speed. Okay. So after clear or anywhere, but it will apply once you have given that command. So you can say set speed. Right? And the speed is either slow, fast or super fast. Slow, right? So let's say fast. It is so, see that? If I say slow, this is what it used to do. If I say fast, does it pretty quickly, but it still moves. And if I say super fast, it's super F capital, okay? If I say super fast, it just draws. You will not notice it. You just see the blink and it will draw. So now, I can say this as 4 and I will directly have my entire pattern moving.
The inside values we have to type in super fast.
Yeah, that you. Before we go for a tea break, we'll just do 2 more concepts. Okay, but they are short ones, which you couldn't do with sketch. One is the border. This color, right? It's red. You don't want it to be red always. What if you want a different color? Correct. So we will say set pen color. Which color should we give? Blue. Okay. Blue. So if you want to auto-complete it, you can say cm.blue. All the options are here. And press control enter. It's blue. Okay. We can make it thick.
If you want yellow, sir, then cm.yellow.
Are there any numbers
Number is it?
for the color codes?
Yeah. There are numbers also. We'll do all that. Okay, so set pen color. And then you have set, okay. How do you fill it? Something you can't do in Sketch. How do you fill it? So you will say set fill color. And this is blue. What fill color should be? Pink. So CM dot pink. Color meter.
Hello, what?
Color maker.
Sir, could you scroll down a little the top of the one? No, this side. Okay, sir.
So we'll break for T. You can even type blue. Some colors work. Like for example, you will not get light. It's better to use CM dot. You get a lot of colors.
Compulsory to write CM dot or directly get by the name of the color.
You can directly say blue. That also works. But for example, light blue won't work. So the moment you say CM dot, you have access to all the colors.
So, show that pop.
Off.
Speed slow. First you make the speed slow.
So here.
First you make the speed slow. Show that pop. How it works out.
Slow. I'll do it just once. But let me do something else. Let me comment this whole thing out. I'll probably do this. So the difference between forward and hop is this. If I say forward and say 100, see what it does. It draws the line. Instead, if I say hop, it moves without drawing the line. So the difference between forward and hop is forward is basically to the pen down and move. Hop is to the pen up and move.
So why this slash is given?
When? This one? This one? These are commented, that code won't execute.
So it's means how you do it. Control slash.
Selected everything in control slash.
You just hold up this.
Deep break. try and use code formatting. Okay? If you don't, you will not realize where this, what is happening inside the repeat. For example, if this code was like this, can you tell what is happening here? Where is, which bracket is starting where, which bracket is ending where? You don't know that, right? So is this ending of this bracket? So if I like scroll like this, who's ending? Right, so that's the problem. So try and use the auto format. The moment you auto format, right, you realize if there is a bracket like this, it ends before. So you can see where it ends. So everything here is repeating 4 times. So you can see what is happening.
So, shortcut button.
Control Shift X.
It's Control Shift F. Again,
Zoom in and zoom out.
sometimes use a mouse wheel.
Shortcut you had told me, sir.
For zooming in,
Yeah. No.
there is no shortcut for zooming in.
And suppose if there is no scroll button.
It is mentioned there. Drag the left mouse button. Click the left mouse button and drag the left mouse. It's mentioned all there. You don't need to buy it, right? Again, like for most of the shortcuts, like what is the shortcut for autocomplete? Right click and you will see format source. Do you see that? Right click, you will see it over there. All the notes are right there. So even if you forget, right? Just right click, it will tell you what is the command. Correct. Just select the line again, control slash. No, select the whole thing. Wherever there are slashes, select all those lines. Press control slash. And it will remove all of them.
So that CM dot after that list is coming.
Here?
CM one.
Yeah.
CM dot.
Yes.
When the colors will come.
Yes. List of colors, yes. So if you say CM, if you say CM, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And you will have all those things. Aqua, azure, beige, black, blue, a lot of colors are there. But now this is not the shade of pink that I want. What should I do? This is not the shade of pink that I want.
There will be some patterns. Like how we have a
Yeah,
color pattern.
what if you had a palette, right? So, simplest idea is press control. See, if you see, right, there are options here. To interactively manipulate the output, control click. Okay? So, control and click on the color. So, I want to change this, right? Control, click on the color.
Can you repeat?
Control and click on the color.
The name of the color.
Yeah, name of the color. Command. Alright, so
If you want to take a random color, what is that? It changes.
we'll do the random colors. So everyone got this palette?
Yes.
I can't zoom this, so the thing which is here, right, is you have HSL, okay, then there are swatches. Swatches are those palettes that we generally have, right, in paint. HSV, then there is RGB and CMYK. Okay. RGB is the simplest one to understand. It simply means there are three colors: red, green, blue. Okay, and everything else gets formed because of the red, green, and blue color. You try and adjust red, green, and blue colors, you will get all other colors. Right? This is one way of looking at it. The other two, right, HSL and HSV, will do in the next session. Okay?
So is there any option for gradient?
Gradients?
Gradient colors are there, no?
Gradients?
What are they?
Gradients, there are. We'll do that. Right? So how do you do this? Here, try adjusting the colors and you will see changing over there, right? So I reduce green to 0, then it is only red and blue. If I reduce red to 0, it becomes all blue. Right? So then blue also becomes more red and green. It becomes white. Right? And then there is alpha. What is alpha? Alpha is like transparency. So alpha is full, that is 255. So the values are always from 0 to 255. Okay? So if you make it 0, it will go fully transparent. It is not white. It may look white there simply because the background is white. But 0 means transparent. Okay? This is like half in the middle, right? It's like almost, you will see some bit of color behind also. And this is fully opaque. You can't see anything in the background. Right? So that's what this means. Play around. So I have got some color. So do you see now?
Oh, yeah.
It says colormical.hsl. Even if you had selected RGB, right, it says HSL there. That's fine. Just from the readability side, right, this looks a bit weird to read. Whoever is reading this won't understand what this color is. So if you want, you can define a variable. And the way to do that is, you will say def, what should I say? It's bluish green. What color is that? Aqua blue. And then select the whole thing, only this part. Don't select the last bracket because there is a part of the first function. So remove it, paste it there, and then use the aqua blue inside your set. Now you can read it.
It's camel casing when you give
Camel.
the name of
Yeah,
the
this is the camel case.
So why we define it again command
Here, to give it a name. You can't figure out what this color is, right, until you see it. But now I can read it and understand that, okay, this color is supposed to be aqua blue.
ask you this one.
Yeah.
So after we define, after we give a name, and what is to be done?
Whatever was there earlier here,
Yeah,
right?
so we just copied it.
I just copied that
Okay.
and copied the name back here. I gave it a name. Everyone got this part? So this part, right, what did we do here? There was some code inside the set fill color, correct? To which we said def, copied the whole part ahead of it and then use the name, correct? It sort of named it. But that is not just for values like colors and everything. So let's say I don't know what this code is doing. I want to give it a name. I can do the exact same thing. So see what I'm going to do here.
Like defining a block.
Yes. So now I'm going to say, so this is a square, right? This is the right square. And the bottom part is the left square. So I'm going to say def right square equal to, cut the code from here, click here, paste it. And then obviously do the code form. Right? And then type that name here. What was that? Right square, right? Output remains the same. Just saying, like, don't put the difference. Yeah, output remains the same.
That become a like
Yeah,
a definition.
that's a definition.
Just type it.
Just type that. Right? Similarly, I will do it for the left square also. Left, left square. Okay. Copy the block here. The second repeat. Cut it, paste it. Control Shift F, so it formats it. Come here and say left square.
So we can use that control space.
Where here?
Yeah.
Yes, but if you try and do control space,
We
right?
get brackets.
You get brackets. Do not put the brackets. It will cry the brackets. So it's the same code.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah?
Definition of a function should be before, no?
Yes.
Before you
Or you can put it after the
anywhere,
code.
no problem.
No problem.
So can you just scroll down?
So just scroll up.
Up.
No, yeah.
Try and look at this code, okay? Each repeat, right, of this code draws every single step. Correct? Each repeat draws every single step. What if I want to give a different color to each step?
That's only you have to put color. Define it.
So one way I can do is, yeah, set fill color and just say random color. Random color there. And will every time when you run it, it will have a different color. But that's weird, right? You do your assignment, get it to school, and suddenly you have a red pen. Doesn't work, right? How can we say that we want just a particular form of color, slightly differently, but a given form of color at all steps?
we run the program, and then again we try control enter, it is not run if we don't change anything.
It will. Click here. Control enter.
And again control enter.
If you click here, it won't. If you click here, it will run. But these are different colors, right? We don't want that. Let us try and get the fixed set of colors. So how do we do that? So we had one color here, right? Aqua blue. Let us start with aqua blue. Aqua blue. And let us spin it. Okay, we want the color to be spin, right? So there is here, spin. You see that? And we say turn factor, spin by turn factor, and let's say 30. So now this is not changing because this value is not changing, right? We'll see how do we fix that also. Anyways, we have a repeat 4, right? What if we change the value? So we want to do it 4 times. So let us say we want to get this color incremented at every point. So first we'll start with 0, then maybe 50, 100 and so on. Correct? So how do we do that? Anyways, we'll first say aqua blue, okay, dot spin, and here we need to give it an angle. That angle is what we are going to increment it. Let us say 100 for now, and it is always going to give you this. Keep it to this point. Aqua blue, spin, 100. This value is what we need to continuously increment at every step. So we need something where the value will start from 0, then go to 100, then go to 200 and so on. Right? So how should we do that? If we want it by 400, right? We cannot now use repeat. We will need to use something called as repeat for. Okay, so just type repeat for. And what you need to give here is range. The way it goes, right, is take a look at this. It goes little slowly over here. Repeat for 0 to 400, which means start the value from 0, go all the way till 400. Okay, but there are like 400 values. We don't want that, right? So we say change, but by 100. So first is going to be 0, second is going to be 400, 100, 200, 300, and then 4. Right? And then we wanted color here. Right? So color, and then use that color here. Sorry, this is an angle, right? Not color. Angle, and use that angle here. There. Should I just minimize this?
So but it's running 9 times.
That is because 0 to 400, right? He's saying 0 to 400. 0 to 400 including 0. Or I should probably say 100 to 400. Now it is.
And that angle equal to, that is the variable or
It's angle. So this angle is kind of a variable. It will have all these values per step.
and that should be written on that line also.
Should be written on this page. You can actually write it here also. But that looks a bit weird.
set fill color, random color, no? It's one and the same.
Random color will change every run. So now no matter how many times you run it, it will give you the same output. Is this good enough?
So show that repeat for 130.
Repeat for? Yeah.
Whole command line show.
That is the whole command.
That's the okay. So you have to remove the curly brackets. So why is that?
So repeat takes the count, but repeat for takes the range of values over which you need to step. Repeat 10 simply means whatever is there inside it, do it 10 times. Right? But repeat for means do it whatever is there inside it for each of the values in the range. So 100 to 400, starting with 100, go till 400 while incrementing by 100. So how would that look? 100, 200, 300, 400. If you do incrementing by 50, then 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400. Any thoughts on why spin is changing the color?
So, there is a problem in understanding about how you have changed that left square, right square, and then this equal to has been used because in the previous two equal to was declared right at the beginning, that particular variable, but suddenly it is used here. So that is where the confusion lies. So we just read.
I'll repeat.
Yeah, explain again.
I'll repeat the whole thing. Okay, what we'll do is we'll move ahead. What I can do is I can share this code. Is that fine? Is there a way to share the code? Or should I share it? Is there a channel? Which WhatsApp channel? Group? I'll put it in the master channel. Is there any Telegram group or anything? Okay, I'll put it in the master channel. Whoever is then both the ones can share it. Okay, who can effectively share it with everyone?
Maya, teacher Maya.
Okay, I've shared it on the master trainers, so please start sharing. It will be better to start with the code, then we will repeat the process. Right? Why is changing, why is applying spin on the color changing the color? Why are you spinning the color? Yes, but why spin? Why spin? Why are we spinning? So we talked about color. You saw that HSL or HSV being there. So HSL, right, unlike RGB, it's just mixing of all the colors, right? HSL is actually a color cone. Okay, so it basically looks like this. Can you see it here? HSL is a cone. Okay, it's three-dimensional. There are three values, right? Hue, saturation, and level. Okay. Now, what does that mean? Hue is your color, pure color. Take a look at this. This is this whole circle, right? Over here is your hue. The circumference is hue. Every point on that circumference is pure color. Pure color. Take a look at that. Okay? And what does that mean? It starts with, so there are three basic colors, right? Red, green, blue. So if we divide 360 by 3, what do we get? 120, correct? So 0 is red, 120 is green, and then finally, what is 120 plus 120? 240. That's blue. And in between there are all the colors that you can see. Okay, so all your colors are on the border of the circle. Right? Imagine it like this. You are seeing a circle there. So every angle, remember this, okay? Every angle gives you a color. Now, its radius is what is called as a saturation. Okay? The more you come towards the center, that is, if you try to decrease the radius, it becomes white. Okay? Take a look at this. No matter which color you are, as long as you are coming towards the center, right, it becomes lighter, 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 and ends up becoming white. Okay? And then there is this level. Okay? So this level is also a value, right? So as long as you are trying to make it 0, right? If you make it 0, it becomes black. No matter which color or what saturation it is having, 0 level means black. So that's why it becomes a cone. Right? Because at bottom, no matter what color you have on top, it will always become one single color. That's how it becomes a cone. It's exactly like a cone. But what we are dealing with, right, is some color, let's say here. We're starting with, let's say, aqua blue. It's some color here, correct? Somewhere. One radius value. And then we are spinning it by how much? 100. So if you see, we'll probably start it, we'll spin it by some 100 degrees, we'll have one color, 100 degrees, 100 degrees, 100 degrees, and so on. So we are spinning it. More you do, more you will get. So that's the color wheel. You can see the same thing when you went over here. Do you see this? So in the HSL, this U value is 0 to 360. It's an angle. Right? Here, HSV and HSL. So U saturation and lightness, like how much light you make it. If you make it full, it will become like fully white. If you make it 0, it becomes dark, black. Similarly here, U saturation and value. Idea is same. If you make it full 100, it will become like white. If you make it full black, 0 become black.
Value is level.
Value is the level. U saturation and level. Is that good enough? Basically, idea is same. So, cone. These are 3-dimensional cones. So you see this here, it's 160. Starting around 160. So 120 was blue, right? And this is 160. So it's between blue and green. That was the initial color. Everyone got the code? Teacher shared. Everyone? It was shared in the master channels group.
So that angle equal to greater than sign is there. No?
Yeah.
So instead of a value, sign is given.
When? This sign?
Yeah.
This particular thing?
Yeah.
So it basically means start with this, okay.
Initial value from
No, all the values come from here.
okay.
Right? So what you see over here, right? What you see over here is what you call as a mapping.
Okay.
It's basically this, read it like this, right? It's like mapping. So you have one value, you map that value to something else. That's how we do it, right? So that's why it's mapping, it's not equal to. It's basically saying some value of angle will map to some drawing. How and why, that is different. But some value of angle will map to some drawing. It's like saying class, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, class is correct. 5th, 6, 7, 8. 5th matches to this group of students. 6th maps to this group of students. 7th maps to this group of students. So if you are writing it, how will you write it? Probably you would say, I am just writing it as a comment. Do not write this. Yes, I am saying, let's say 5th is student A, student B, and then 6th is student C, student D, and so on. So this is the mapping. You are having a mapping basically. You are saying this value maps to this. So now what is happening is, we have an angle. And that angle is mapping to some drawing. What is that drawing?
The square.
Yeah, these two squares. So if this angle changes, you will have some different drawing. But in our case, it is basically the same drawing with a different color.
Different one.
So you can keep going by that.
When you say that repeat for, over there it takes the value.
Over there it takes the value. So here. It says 0 to 400 by 100.
So first time angle is 100.
100. And it will keep adding 100 to it.
Yeah, that I know.
So 100
Like
to 100.
how angle gets
Yeah.
that.
So you are not basically saying, you are giving it a mapping. Like, these are my range of values.
So
Which should
all
map to
this
this.
100 will be for one cycle.
One cycle. Then 200 will be for another cycle.
That greater than has that significance.
It looks like an arrow, right?
Yeah.
It looks like an arrow.
It's a
So that angle maps to this drawing. It's an arrow.
Pointing to that.
Pointer to that. It's pointing.
Point.
This angle is pointing to this drawing.
Okay. So it's not equal to increase.
No, it is not angle. Equal to means whatever is this should be value of angle.
Yeah, so that was
Here
my
is equal to.
Yeah, that was my concern.
Right? Here it means right square is this. But what we are trying to say is given this angle is the value, there has to be some drawing. It's reverse.
So if you, so by default it is nothing as a circle only, because when you pass those two values, like for example you want to draw a square, those two values you won't be able to draw, so it is going to draw.
If you remove the angle, it will simply turn. If you remove the radius, it will simply turn. If you give a radius, it will actually try and draw the circle. So you can see it here, right? What it did just now. If you make it bigger, 150, it will draw a bigger circle. If you reduce it, it will draw a smaller circle. Okay? If you reduce the angle, anything less than 360, it will draw a circle till that part. So if you make it 180, it will be exactly half. So if you do it twice and reduce the radius next time, let me also see super fast. That's about turning by a specific angle and also using it to draw either a circle or a part of a circle. So the angle that you want to draw of a circle is the first parameter, size is the second parameter. if you want to draw a square with rounded edges, it's quite straightforward. So how should we do it? We need repeat 4. Obviously. Then we will say forward. Let's say 100. Now we need that small arc there, right? So we will say right, but not completely, right? We need right 90, obviously, but with a small angle. So, okay. If I do this, is that angle increase this? Or maybe you can do some patterns. So if I have a circle, right, 360 by 100 gives me this, and if I keep turning the sprite by 10 degrees or let's say 20 degrees, what will I get? So let's say repeat 360 divided by 20. We will do this. Control shift. Okay. And then I'll rotate a bit towards right by 20. What if we fill it with a color, random color? Set fill color, random color. this may look okay, except the last part. So we will say random color. What if we could reduce the transparency? Do it, right? How will we reduce the transparency? Simply say fade out. Random color dot fade out. Do you see that? Fade out. And say 0.5. Maybe the red color is not too right? Set pen color, yellow. We can reduce the thing by 0.6 and try more 0.7 and maybe 0.61. Fade out. 0.7.
Here also we are following Kamat basic small.
Yeah. You cannot leave a space between any names here. You cannot say set space fill space color. And if you don't do that, you can't read where what is finishing. That's why the Kamat basic comes in. So, what about the background? Set background. So let's say set background. Set background. And let's say what? Pink. Scene dot. that like a dark pink? Okay. So you filled the whole background also. Did some new background. Color, right?
So that you can put another fade out opacity and
For the background?
no, the last circle.
So we can do
It's already there.
pen color can fade out completely.
Pen color we can make
Make
zero.
it one.
Or you can say no color. That is also fine.
Okay.
So you can say no color.
So I tried out with that opacity fade out.
So you can make it like 1. It's as good as like saying no color. It's like fade out, right? So fade out by 1. If you make it fade out by 0, like full. But this background of just one color does not look right. So what I will do is after set background, right, I will say H and give another color. Get him a bit towards left. Right? So now there is this change position, right? It changes the position by the given x and y. So change position 0 and minus 100. Oh sorry. So minus 100 and you can't see, okay. Visible now? So what I did was I said hop, set pen size, so increase the font size, then set pen color, yellow, and then write. So you can write your name there, right? But it is not somewhat towards right? I need to get it towards left. Now one obvious way to do is turn it towards left, hop, again turn up. I don't want to do that. I just want to move it left. That is, decrease the value of y. Right? So move it left by, let's say minus 100. So what I will say is change position. So now wherever you are, you can change the position in terms of x and y values. It is not same as saying go to x and y. It's saying wherever you are, change the position by that much. So I am at some location. I want to just come a bit towards left. So I need to give a value in negative. So minus 100. And I don't want to change the y side. I don't want to bring it up or down. So I'll keep it as 0. So it came towards it. I can play around. Minus little lesser value. So, is it okay?
Straight.
Right or left?
Right.
If it is right, I'll add. You can also do this, okay? It helps to understand, okay? I need to move right, then add. I want to go left, then subtract. Is this okay? And if you want to hide the turtle, instead of saying clear, just say clear eye. So you can do this, type your name, right click, export as image, and save the image.
This here, I capital.
Clear eye, small
I
eye,
capital.
small eye, clear eye. Instead of clear, if you say clear eye, the turtle will go invisible.
right? It's good till this point.
But it's not clear. But mine is also
The difference between this and that is when we were drawing it previously, right? We used to see a big circle at the end. I'll modify the problem. You'll be given with a Google Classroom activity book, so you need to complete the activities there and put it, right? So, coming back, and I need to put this. So, we did arcs, right? How did we do arcs right now. It's about tracing the angle, correct? So what are arcs? Arcs are nothing but just part of the circle, right? That's what an arc is. Now, given what an arc can do, what all things can we draw?
Petals.
Yeah, petals or maybe diya. Okay. So let's try drawing one. Obviously, I need to. So for that, let's say clear. I'll not turn it off. I'll say show axis. And show grid. Show grid. Right? So if I run this, I get the grid. Now, let's form the base, right? How will you form the base? Let's say you want to go from 200 to 200. That's the arc we need to build, the lower half. Right? How can we do that? We'll obviously need to first go to 200, correct? So let's just first go to 200. So for that, I'll need to turn right, and then I'll say hop 200. So I'm going to go there. Should I just say super fast? Yeah, so it's there. Now if I want to draw an whole arc from this 200 to this 200, I have to make him face down. Or let's see what happens if I do. Right? Let's say arc. So that would be right, the whole 180 degrees, right? And what's going to be the diameter? Sorry, radius 200, correct? Oops, no.
Direction.
Yeah, so I have to turn it right again. Yeah, there you go. Now, from this, I need one small arc like this, and then another small arc like this. I'm like imagining a drawing in my mind. But in order to do that, I'll probably again face down, right? So maybe right by 180. Yeah, now it's facing down. But can I draw an arc till what's going to be the radius now? 100, right? Can I say left 180 100? Oops. That won't look right, right? Would it 50? So instead, let us say I want a slightly smaller arc there. A small percentage of this, not the whole one. Correct? So how should I get that small arc?
Same radius.
Might not be the same, right? Can I use the same radius? I just want a point going from here till here. It could be a bit of trial and error, I guess. Let's say instead of this whole 180, I say 150. And that would have been a bit too sharp. This would have been a bit too sharp. Maybe 90. No, that's way off. 100. Is it? No, that's also 120. this may work, right? But I just need to now increase the radius. So what should be my radius? 200. This is perfect. But the angle is too big, not 180. Maybe 10. No, too less.
That's right.
45. 50. 60. Is that good? How would I know if it is good? It is good if it comes to the center. But I don't know if that's the case, right? So what I'm going to do is
Yeah.
I'm going to say print and position, right? Print the position. Apparently yes, it is 0, 0. You can see the position here. So by some luck we managed to get till this point. Now we need to do the remaining one and get back till this point. Should we do that? So let us say
Set heading 90.
this is the base. Then so this was the whole thing was a base, right? Then this is the left arm, and now we need a right arm. So if this gave us left arm, we have to make him face up first. Correct? Where is he facing right now? So we can find out the heading
Set.
currently where it is facing. Let's see. Print heading. And we'll know the value 30. It's currently facing in 30 degrees, correct? So in order to apply the same logic again, we have to get him face down, or is it? No, face
90.
up.
On
So 30 plus how much will be 90? 60, correct? So let's first make him left by 60, then we will say right of 120, and then the same logic to complete the remaining one. Good enough? And obviously, get him back. How will you get him back? Minus. And what's the heading? We'll find the heading. Print heading 30 again. No, 150. Right now the heading is 150. So how will we make it 90 again? The heading is 150. How much should I remove to make it 90? 60? Yeah. So right of 60. There. So now it's facing up, right? Can we fill it with a gradient? So what should we do? Before we do this, let's say set fill color. Now cm dot linear gradient. So there are 2 points there. One is let's talk about this gradient, okay, first. But let's say that def base color is equal to brown and set fill color is base color. problem is sort of filled this, right? It shouldn't have done that. That happened because it was like coming back, right? Oh, it did. When it was like coming back, it tried to fill it. So if this part wasn't there, this would have been perfect. We sort of got him back, and that was the issue. One way to simply get him back is without drawing anything, is we can say either pen up or pen down. So, if I keep this, I'll have this. So I can say maybe pen up, and yeah, this is perfect. And then obviously, right, 60. This is done. Obviously, we have to say pen down also if we need a pen up. Okay. Now, let's talk about gradients. So we have the base color and it is brown. But that's not how a diya would look like, right? The base would look like. It should have those two colors, correct? It should be slightly whitish in the center and brownish as it goes ahead. And then obviously it needs to repeat it the other way around. So how should it happen? So we'll change. Everyone got this part?
No.
Yeah. Is this good enough? Like the full word.
So from the starting.
What's that?
That's from start.
Yeah, this is from start.
No,
No, actually there is a
color.
part before, but obviously it is only
Base
to show
color.
the grade, set the color.
Please go to the caption.
Down.
Up.
So scroll down.
Scroll down.
So now we need to talk about gradients. Okay? There are two types of gradients. Linear. What do you mean by linear? What do you mean by linear? Linear doesn't mean straight. Linear means there are 2 points. For every line, there are always 2 points. Line is defined by 2 points. Correct? If you just have 1 point, it's 1 point, right? There could be infinite number of lines going from it. Talk about a particular line, you need 1 point, and then you need to say, okay, this line goes from this point to that point, right? So you need 2 points. That's a linear gradient. Linear means 2 points. Okay? And the other one is radial. What do you mean by radial? No. Radial doesn't mean round.
Degrees.
Otherwise it means circular. Radial.
Degrees.
Radial. The name says it.
Along the center.
Along the center.
Center with the radius. Right? So there is 1 point and then there is radius. Correct? So in case of linear, there are 2 points. 2 points means literally there is x, 2 x's and 2 y values. Each point has x and y value, right? There will be x and y value of 1 point, x and y value of another point. Radial, is there is going to be one point which is the center, which will be x and y, and the other value will be radius because it will go common on all sides. Correct? Let's talk about gradients. We need to now apply a gradient here so that it's little bit white and then goes brown on the other end, right? But how does gradients work? What does it mean that there is a gradient?
Mixing of two colors.
Mixing of two colors, correct? It's actually mixing. So let's say there is one color starting from here and one color starting from here, right? This color, as it tends to go this side, ends up mixing with blue slowly, and here the blue ends up mixing with the other color. So it's mixing going on. How do we do that now? We need a linear gradient here. So let us try and create a linear gradient. Okay, we'll change this brown part. I'll remove this and I'll say cm dot linear gradient. Okay. Now the moment you do this, right, you will get a whole long text. Now this can get confusing. So the moment you type it out, organize that code block as I am showing you here. Okay. After linear gradient in the open bracket, press enter. Okay, we are organizing it so it becomes easier on our mind. There are like many values out there and it can get confusing. Use autocomplete and then soon after the first bracket being opened, right, press enter. You will get it like this. Done? Everyone? Okay. Now you will see x1, y1, right? After y1 there is comma. So after that comma, press enter again. Okay. Then there is c1 comma. So after that comma, press enter. Then there is x2, y2 comma. After that comma, press enter. After C2 comma, press enter, and then you are cycling. So you can keep it like this. You understand why we did it this way? If you see, right, this is the first point, and this is the color at that point. This is the second point, and this is the color at that point. Say if you don't do it this way, right, you will mix x1 with y2 because they are all on single line, and human brain gets confused the moment it sees some text and numbers going together. That's why on the checkbook they say write the numbers also and the text also, and that too on two separate lines, right? You can try doing it on single line also, but last time also we had seen many people were struggling because they were either missing some comma or it was becoming red 50. It was supposed to be red comma 50. Right? So keep that in mind. Alright? So, what should be the first point? Center? Okay? So we start from here, right? So 0, 0, 0, 0. And what should be the color there? Let's say white. The second point, which is here, which is 200, 0. 200, 0 should be brown. And for now, keep the third, last one as false. Okay, we'll see what that means. And then run it. Good enough? We did that false, right? If you have got this output, right, convert that false to true. And you will have your base ready. Alright? It still doesn't look right, right? Does it? Let me comment this out. Let's run this. Is it okay? Should it be this white? Or just light brown? Dark brown will be at the corners, right? So imagine it being like here. Take a look at this, right? So it's lightish here and grayish. So here, this brown which is there, sorry, this white which is there, let's make it brown and then control click. We'll use this option. See, but RGB is of no use. If you want to make color lighter, right? You cannot easily use RGB to make colors lighter. For that, we will switch to HSL. And then there is lightness here. So we'll make it lighter. Can you see it now? There. We just got the effect. So that's the base.
So just show it again, sir. Color one.
So what I did was for this color right here, second color, I typed it as brown only. So it becomes like full brown, and I need to make this first brown little lighter. So I said control, clicked on that, then use HSL. Use HSL as the lightness slider, and then increase the value of the lightness.
So that is HSV.
Basically the same thing, right? Gives you the lightness part. Good enough? Gives you that feeling. We can experiment, these are more trial and error things. So how will we make the lamp now or diya part? Okay. Diya is also an arc, right? So in order to get the diya right, we can, whatever arc we had here, right, we just need to do it here. We have all the calculations set up, we just need to do it here. And it will form the required arc for us. So let's do the diya part. First, I will say set fill color as none. Otherwise, diya will also become brown. Set fill color, no color. Right? And what did we do? First turned it towards the other direction, right? So 120, how much is 120 after 90? 60? No. 30, right? 30. So we will say right 30. So it turns in that direction. And then we will apply the same logic. Left 60 to 100. Left 60 200. There. Right? Now it's actually facing towards it was facing 30, correct? It was facing actually 120. It was facing, what was the angle that it was facing? 90 minus 30. That would be 60. And now it's facing 60 on the other side, which would be 120. So it's facing in 120 direction now, right now. Correct? Why do we need to face it now? Let's make him face down 90. How will we do that? So if this is 120, we have to make him face 270. 270 straight down, right? So 120 plus 80 plus 70, right? Let's do that, right? 80 plus 70. Oh, no. Why did it do that? It was facing 120 in the other direction.
It is
If we
left
make it
1.
60. So make it 70. Sorry, not 70, 60.
120.
Where is it facing?
125.
120 will be right down. Now 120 is the other. Oh, I am making
Left,
it
left.
right.
150
So it should be like left, correct? I was like trying to turn him on the other side.
left one.
Left
So left
120.
120.
Left 150.
150. Alright? Now, again, the same logic, right? What we will do, we'll make him do right 30. Same logic again. And then repeat the whole thing. We got our diya. All right. Up. Good enough.
Down here.
Yeah, but just need to get the moments right. So you replicate the same thing. The same logic we used to did this, we used it to complete this part. Now, how will you fill the color in it? How will you fill the color? No, I mean, how will you fill the color?
We find out the
Yes, but what will be the gradient? Is it just
Yellow
a
and
yellow or
orange.
it's a
Yellow and orange.
yellow and orange? Just two colors? How many colors are generally there?
Three.
It's slightly red, right? In the beginning. Gets yellow and then orange. Correct? How should we do that? We saw gradients, but with only two colors. But now we need three. And secondly, those colors don't go like this in a straight line, right? As if they are squares. They go more like round. How will you do that? So that's a radial gradient. And not just one, but multiple. Now when we are talking about multiple, right? How will we give multiple? Should we give like multiple points? That's not possible, right? So we have to give multiple set of values or a range. This is my starting point, this is my ending point, and all my colors will go as per the range. So I need to give a range. So let us try to fill in the color. So this fill color here, right? let's say def dia color is equal to first, let's say yellow, and then let's fill this in. So you have got it here, right? Now is the tricky part. We need a gradient then, and that too a radial gradient, and that too multiple one. There are two variants. There is linear gradient and then there is linear multiple gradient. For this part we did linear gradient only, but for dia we need to do radial multiple gradient. So how would we do that? So it's a slightly, take a look at this, cm dot radial multiple gradient. Now as soon as you type this or get this big thing, right, again we need to organize this. And the way we do that is after we get this gradient and you open bracket, right, we press enter. So we have x comma y, press enter so that the radius comes on the second line. Then there is distribution which comes in the third line, colors come in the fourth line, and again there is cycling. Alright? So now we don't need to worry, it is radial. We just need to define one point where everything is going to start. Everyone got till this point? Okay, let's go. X and y, which is the point 0, 0? Let's use this. 0, 0, x is 0, y is 0. What should be the radius? Radius is the whole thing, from here till here.
200.
It was 200? That is used, right? Yeah. So was this actually 200? Yes. 200. Now for the distribution part, right? See what I am doing, okay? Say SEQ, short for sequence. Again for colors, SEQ for sequence, and cyclic will start with false. Okay? So first was the distribution, then it was the colors. So what colors do we need? We said we need red, correct? We need red, then we need yellow, and then we need orange. Now we need to give a distribution for each of these colors. Where do these colors fit in? So imagine a radial line, right? Going from this point, and we said 200, so it will go all the way 200 like this. Correct? So let's just take this line for example in the radius. Where would the red start from? In terms of percentages, okay? So if you have said this is 200, right? 0 is here, correct? That is the start line, correct? 0 is here, 1 is here. So you have to now talk in terms of percentages. So 0, is that a good part for red? Yes. That's where the gear is going to start, right? So let us say 0. Sequence 0. Alright? Then I will use space. When is yellow going to start? Maybe around here?
25.
25? Let's see. So it's 25%, okay? So don't write 25. So 0.25. And then orange around 60% above. So beyond 60% it will be all orange. So 0.6. Right? Let's run this. There you go. And I'll simply make this color up. The turtle will go in. What I'll do is I'll set the background color. Maybe some, what should we do? Set background. This was good.
For background color also there is linear and radial.
So you can, whatever gradients you make, right, and apply it to objects, you can apply it to the background also. So you say set, you create a gradient color, whether you want a radial one or linear one. Say set background, don't use the H and put that color there. It would apply. So let us say if I don't want this to happen, right? I want the yellow to be at the center and then white all around. So let me try to do that. Right? So, but then the radius would be the whole screen. So I'll say def background color is equal to cm dot radial multiple gradient, correct? And see the steps that I am following, okay? I am saying x, then xy on one line, radius on another, distribution on one, colors on another, cyclic at the end. And I will make the changes, okay? And while selecting, right, click on the words, okay? Like this. And then change. Otherwise, by mistake, you will select the comma also. Okay? So double click on X and I'll start 0. Double click on Y, 0. Radius is, let me say for now 200. Distribution, SEQ. Colors, SEQ. And when you double click, right, you don't by mistake select the comma. And cyclic as false. So I want yellow to be at center and white afterwards. And yellow will start at 0 and maybe 20% after it will be all white. And I'll use this background color. So instead of saying set background H, I'll say set background and say background color. Oh, it's already small. Maybe 2.8%. Maybe I make this bigger. 300. 500. Yeah, there. What are sequences? They're just range of values, right? So what you're trying to say here is first, so let's take a look at this, okay? So it's 0, 0, so that is from this point till 500, radius being 500. So if I say show grid, I directly say it here instead of in the code, and show axis. So 0, 0, and where is 500? I think it's gone above. Till that point, till that 500 point. Okay? That's my radius in all directions. Correct? Given that as the radius, how should my colors distribute? So I want the distribution to start from the center with yellow as the first color. Do you see that? Yellow, right? And it starts from 0. Yellow starts from 0. Which is 0? If the line starts from here, radius, right? If the line starts from here, what is the 0th percent of the line? At the beginning, right? So here. That's yellow. And the white color should start from 0.8 or 80% of my 500 unit radius. So probably somewhere here. So my white should probably start somewhere here. Take a look at this, right? So you have a bright yellow here, bright white will be somewhere here, and in between you will have all the mixing of yellow and white going. That's what gives the shape. So again, you can export this as a image. But before doing that, right?
The
don't
code
forget
doesn't
to.
save. The code doesn't give.
You have to save it. File, save it. Oh, I've already saved it. Yeah. Save as. You have to say file, save as, and then save it. There's also another thing you all should do. So Kojo comes with code exchange. And so whenever you do it, right? So do you see this upload arrow here? Right? Click on that. And then you need to register. Okay. So click on register and register for the code exchange. And once you have done that, give a title for your drawing. Give your email address, password, and then say upload. It will go on the code exchange. Okay. Code exchange is where you will you basically have designs uploaded by many people.
So repeat.
Repeat around code exchange?
Yeah.
Okay.
From where is it?
Do you see this upload icon here?
No.
Second last one. Click over it. If you haven't registered before, right? Click on register here. Can you see it? There is a register option there. Register. Then give a title for your current work. Enter your email ID here. The same one that you use for registration, okay? Enter password and then upload it.
Code will also work.
Code will also work. Now, let us look at what interesting things can happen, right? Sometimes with a simple manipulation, and that is where we can keep the target. Sometimes we tend to focus a lot, like thinking that a lot of code would be there. Sometimes it's just a few number of lines that make the difference. One such example is how will we draw polygon. Right? So let's say repeat. And how would repeat work? Let's say repeat 4. Was that an afternoon nap? So how do we make polygons, right? So forward, let's say 100, and then turn by what? 360 divided by the number of steps you want to take, right? So what would this give us? This gives us a triangle. Let me make it big, right? So it will be 150. Let me. What if we make it 4? Is that correct? 5. Six will obviously give us and 7 will be, so this will not come. So we know all of this, most of it we already did. It's correct. Let's go back to pentagon. Five, right? Alright. What if I make this angle as 144? Why is it giving me star? Why is 144 giving me star? Let me make that angle. Do we understand why turning it by 144 giving it a star?
At the end.
Yes.
144.
This angles are 144. Sorry, not this.
Outside.
This outside angle. This angle is 144. But why? How do we know that angle gives it a star? What if I want to make a star of 8 points? This is star of 5 points. I can make star of 7 points also. How will you calculate that angle to make a star of 7 points? Any idea? How will you calculate that angle? We need to calculate this angle, in order to build star of any other angle or any other points. But how can we do that? So first of all, why is this 144? To do that, right, let us calculate how much is this angle. this angle is? What is that? Is this 120? This one doesn't look like it. It is inside. This is inside. This is inside.
70.
This is 72.
60.
Why is this 72?
60.
If this is 72, how much is this?
60.
So the way we calculate, right, is what do we generally do? This is do you see a pentagon here?
Yes.
So if you were drawing it, you would go like this. Then when it reaches this point, right, we turn by this much angle, right? How much angle is that?
72.
Correct. This is 72, correct? So this angle and this angle is always same, intersecting lines. This angle and this angle is same. If this angle, so this angle and this angle is same.
Same.
72, 72 is
144.
144. So how much is this?
36.
36. If this is 36, how much would this be? 140. 140. That's right. So that's why there is 144. So, if I have to make a star of 7 points, what should be the angle? What should be the angle? This will not complete. It will just keep on going. I want a star of 7 angles, 7 points. Can somebody tell me the angle?
Around 103.
103? No. Why 102? 7, right? By how much would you rotate? divided by 7. How much is that?
1 point something.
51.3. So that angle over here, somewhere like this, will be 51. This is 51, 51, right? So 102. If this is 102, what would this angle be? 180 minus
70.
78. This would be 78. So what would be this? 102. Let's try with 102. So if I make this I,
Not getting completed.
there's a dot remaining, right? That is because of that. It was not exactly 102, right? It's like there is a point coming into picture over there. But there is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 7 lines. What is the angle here? This is how much?
3 we have to take to join the
Internal angle.
103.
103. This internal angle.
Join the line.
103. Yeah, joints, right? What if we make it 154? How did I get 154? That's a mystery. You can solve it. Question is, how did I calculate 154? Why that 154 matters, we will see. Right? How many angles do we see inside here? Sides 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are still, what do you call it, this 7-side polygon inside, but now I have got a different star, a little longer one though. How did I calculate 154 is something to think about. We'll discuss this in the next session. Anyways, but this is, if I have a star like this, right, I can do something interesting. Okay, let us say I make an ever increasing star. If I sort of remove the super fast part, right, and keep this clear, notice the turtle motion, okay? Notice the turtle motion, careful. So observation is a big part here. It faces here, right? What if I make him turn the other way direction and ask him to rotate the same thing again? What if I make it turn the other direction and draw the same thing again? This time I can say super fast. Is that right? What if I do the same thing again? So it's sort of falling on each other, right? And to a great extent that happens because if I have to make a chain, right, and if it is odd, it will keep falling back on each other. So I have to change its side. So what if I make it 8 and 8 here? Do you notice what just happened? So this was just 2, right? What if I repeat? Now what happens if I keep doing so? So what I would do is, let us say I will not do it by hand, okay? I can put the whole thing inside repeat, right? Repeat. Let's say 5 times. This whole thing 5 times. And control shift F, sorry. Shift F. And then enter it. Where is F?
F.
Now.
Noticing what's happening here? Let me reduce the size, okay? Say 10. And okay. What if I make it 10? 20?
Over 15.
15?
No, 12.
12?
13.
Maybe. Yeah? But there is something else that I can do. Here the size was fixed, right? What if I increase the size? Instead of going 13 times, well, going 13 times is fine. But what if I increase the size every time? Let us see what happens. But if I want to increase the size, right, I need to take this size from somewhere else, right? So do it 13 times or whatsoever, but increase the size at every point of time. Remember we did something like this before, where we had to increase the angle, correct? What structure did we use?
Repeat for.
Repeat for. So this repeat becomes repeat for. Instead of 30, we will say 0, sorry not 0, 1, 2, 13, and here I have a size. In that size I will put here. Notice what's happening here. What is it trying to do? What does it look like? Is it looking like a spiral? Right? And what happens if I sort of increase it to a big number? We made it all with a star. Let's make it better. Let's say set background color as black and set pen color yellow. Which one looks better? So the pattern that I was talking about, right, was something like this. So we'll say, let's draw square. How do we draw square? We say repeat 4, right, 100, not right 100, right? Forward 100, right. So that's the square. We know this. What if we continue drawing this while increasing the size every time? What do we get? Again, in order to do that, we will say repeat 4, and we will say 1, 2, let's say to start with 360 by 2, and we have a size here, and that size we'll put here. So we get this. Is that correct? So I think, should we increase it a bit? 5, and maybe we'll say 365. Is that okay? So when we said this is right, it's actually right by 90 degrees. Gets the same output. What will happen if I change that angle to 91? Just 1 degree. Ever tried? So that one value, right, can change a pattern. Probably this pattern is shown, it will be very difficult to realize it's probably done from the same square pattern. But try and notice one thing, okay, in this example. Did you notice we are just drawing straight lines here? Did we ever draw a curve here? But do you see a curve here? These ones. Yeah. That's a perfect curve, right? Where did that curve come from? So we did arcs, right? We have not yet done curves. But the idea behind drawing curves is very, very similar. Of course, it will be one of the future sessions, but that is part of the curriculum. Being able to draw a curve. Everything you can't do with arcs. Right? Drawing curves are important. So, that idea, right, of drawing a curve given by just by giving certain points is absolutely similar to this. There will be few more challenges given. Do try and work on those. Any questions till now? Now, once the activities will be given, there will be a lot of questions.
Now all questions are free.
You can ask them.
So why is that 360 multiplied by 5?
I just wanted a bigger number. Otherwise, this will end pretty soon. Just wanted a bigger number. So how many patterns can you think of? If you actually go to Codex, Codex is actually a good source of inspiration. Oh, that's good. Better. Just while doing it, right, keep in mind whenever you are uploading to Codex, right, it uploads whatever is last seen on your screen. So it is advisable to turn the axis off. Otherwise you will have a greeting card with an axis. Right? So this is one nice example. How big is the board? Pretty small, right? Nothing big, but a lot of effect has been applied over there. There is a gradient, obviously. You can see that the background is created with a gradient. And that's a normal gradient. So there is a center value, initial color, the last value on the radius, the second color. That's it. Correct? And then they are just applying these lines. Frankly speaking, right, He is not drawing the circle. If you look at the code, he is not drawing the circle. This is the gradient that he has applied here. This is the entire gradient, and he is only drawing this pattern. He is only drawing the pattern, if you see. It's just the pattern that he is drawing. Forward, left, forward, left, forward, left for all these values. That's all. That's creating this effect. Those are some of those things are very, very creative. So you can see some flowers here. Again, not a big length of code. Somebody has done a sunset. Now, this one uses a concept called as pictures. So that's the topic of the next session. Right? Again, this was a greeting card. Today we made one. Again, that's using a concept of picture. If you possibly see this one, right? It's also very interesting and not a big piece of code. Give it a try. Right? Just that the indentation is horrible. So don't get confused what goes where. You can copy the code, run the indentation, code formatter, and you will get to see. Then there is this flower. Not too big, not using pictures, but done quite effectively. You know Sonali teacher, right? You all know Sonali teacher? So you can see some of her paintings right here. There is a particular thing I think about this piece of code. It's not showing the line of code, but I think it is something around 1,700 lines. In case you are watching this, right? So notice the reflection effect. That's an angry bird. Again here. So you see a reflection effect. This cannot be seen directly, triangulation one. You need to copy the code and run it. So wherever you click, right, it tries to establish a triangle. Cycle. There's a cycle there. Now, this is interesting. Do you notice a tree? Okay? In the code, you will not notice a tree. But yet it draws a tree. This is again pictures. Pictures are actually the main topic. Have you seen the 7th standard curriculum yet? Or the book? No? It's there on the website. So pictures are the majority of the portion. You can see this effect, for example. In case you have noticed this, right? So do you see the shadow effect there?
Yes.
There are some pretty inspiring simple ones. There is a mandala art. And some of those things, right, that you generally see, this is more like your rivers flowing or some kind of gas flowing around. That is not in the curriculum. This. Some of those patterns you can very well see here. Very, very simple thing, right? So, but it uses pictures. Well, do try and go through some of this before we meet again. In case you want to explore further, right? Kojo also has got showcase section. So if you use a showcase section, right? You can see it over there. You can see how they have been implemented. So before I do anything, right? Save this. You notice this? Here. It's a game. You have to sling it in such a way that it's going to hit that ball. Oops. Maybe I will. Oops. Oh shit. Okay. No. So that's one game. It's an entire game. Just here. Okay, somebody's playing the car ride. So there is a platformer also. I think the code is not included. So that's a tic-tac-toe. It's not going to let me do. But apart from that, right, there are samples also. So you can see some of those things built with multiple. By the way, an important distinction, okay? Turtle is not a sprite. Okay? Turtle is not a sprite. In Kojo, in Scratch, the concept of sprite and turtle was mixed. They were one and the same. But here turtles are not sprites. Sprites will come and will discuss pictures. Right? So there are two different concepts. So you have something like, take a look at this. All of them coming together and building a face simultaneously. Then there is actually coding the music. There are games. Anyone remember Lunar Lander being there in the anyways, those are the things. So possibly do feel to try this out. All these examples are there to see. Some code could be understood, some code cannot be understood. There are some codes where the indentation is quite bad. It becomes difficult, but most of those things should be directly visible. Any questions now? None of the activities will be from the showcase. Okay? So no questions, right?
Cycling new forces. Cycling new forces. The last parameter.
Ah. Cycling is explained, right? No? Cyclic simply means that whole linear gradient pattern, right? Or any gradients pattern, they repeat. So how does gradient work? You say from this point there is one color. Right? Let's say just take two colors for example, right? Color 1 at one point, at another point it's color 2. If you say cyclic, it means after the same distance, put the first color back. And after some distance, put the second color back. So the same cycle repeats. And this is pretty effective sometimes if you want to, let's say, create those circular borders repeatedly. Case it is required, right? You can just give a gradient and put the whole thing there. Or you can use if you see the sun example, right? He did not actually draw the sun. It wasn't a circle drawn and then filled with a color. It was actually done with a gradient. So sometimes, at a lot of places, right, a lot of art could be just made with a gradient. So do experiment with gradients a bit. It just so happens that gradient has a significant impact on the curriculum, but there are no significant chapters dedicated to it. Significant chapters go for pictures and animations. Okay, but you will see if you have gone through the book, there are many examples where gradients make an effect, especially where all the pictures come together and you build a photo frame. That photo frame which you see towards the end is actually a gradient. It's not like, because the obvious question is, you have a photo frame, right? You have the picture made, entire picture made. Let's say you have drawn a scenery. You have to now put a circular border around it. Okay? So that only a circular part is seen and the rest of the things are not seen. How will you cut it? So gradients are, oh by the way, I forgot to mention one thing. One of the color can be a no color also. And no color means absolutely no color. So if you have two layers coming on top of each other, and one of the color is no color, you will see that the effect would be slowly it will start showing whatever is there in the background. So you can get those effects going in. Alright? So no color is actually a color. While gradients also behave like a color in the sense that you can say set background and pass a gradient to it, you cannot use the gradient inside a gradient. So let's say the color option that you need to give, right? In a sequence or in linear gradients, color 1, color 2, one of those cannot be gradients. Okay, so keep that in mind. Good enough? Too much?
Linear gradient, we had started from the center to the right.
Right.
But it was repeating the other way also.
Yes. It repeats on all sides.
But
But only in that line. So if your one point is here and another point is here, right? How will this go? It will not go horizontally. It will go as a tilt.
but this color was, the second color was at the bottom.
Second, so it's basically color fill up. So imagine it this way, right? You have a color there. At that point, its color, if you have only one color, it will start spreading everywhere. So when you give a second color, second point and a second color, it's like an indication to that color saying you need to stop here. So instead of just abruptly stopping it at that point of time, right? It stops slowly. Similarly, that color which is there is also trying to spread out. But the moment it sees another color, it tries to change itself slowly till that point. So it is going in all direction in any ways. The question is, how will it change? If it is a linear gradient, it will change in the direction of that line. If it is radial, it will change equally in all directions.
And for radial gradient, is that cyclic true or false? It was not making any effect.
It will apply to the background. See, you applied it to that shape, right? Which was anyways of 200. Cyclic will matter after 200. So you will not see it inside the diya or base. You will not see it. Try it on a background or on a bigger shape and you will see it flowing. Right?